Hare Krishna. So let's start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. My screen visible?
यस प्रभु जी।
Yes.
So welcome to this fifth day of Journey to Janmashtami. We have been preparing our consciousness to welcome Krishna, and that is our natural position as we have been hearing over this last few days, how the scriptures say, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kavunai, Shravanadi Suddha Chitte Karaye Uday. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kavunai. Actually, it is not something which is to be cultivated, which is to be brought from somewhere. It is already there. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kavunai. It is already present in our heart in its full glories. Shravana Adi. But when we engage in devotional process, because of this covering of ignorance, we have forgotten that. And we are indulging in something which is no comparison, actually. It is tuchha. But that tuchha is appearing very attractive to us. That's why the scripture says, Shravanadi Suddha Chitte Karaya Uday. When we engage in the process of devotion, starting with Shravana, starting with the process of hearing, Shravana Adi, then Suddha Chitta, the Chitta becomes pure, cleansed, free from contamination, Karaya Uday. Then it naturally arises. So this presentation is dedicated to His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Today we have the pastime of a devotee and his beloved deity, which is absolutely amazing. And this devotee of the Lord comes in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. And this deity, what to talk of this deity, actually very, very special, very, very beautiful, very special, and very amazing reciprocation between this deity and the devotee that we will see today. But to understand the mood of this devotee, to understand this pastime that happened, we need to prepare, we need to have the right context and the right sort of mood. And to do that, let's see some verses from Bhagavatam, which is very apt, which is demonstrated by this devotees in their life. So this is a verse from Bhagavatam, very famous verse, very, very, very wonderful verse. And this verse talks about the rarity of human form of life. This comes in the 11th canto, 9th chapter, 29th verse. And the verse is, Labdhva sudurlabham idam bahu sambhavante, manusyam artham anityam apakadhiraha, purnam yate te mrityayavan, nishrayasaya prayah lusarvatah. If you are not, can you please go on mute so that it's easy for others to also hear? So this verse comes in the Bhagavatam, talks about the rarity of human form of life. And sometimes when we hear this, or we would have heard this earlier, rarity of human form of life, what do you mean by rare? We see so many human beings. What is the big deal? But the big deal is we don't understand what the big deal is. So let's see this verse and understand what Bhagavatam is saying and what is the importance of this human form of life and how this devotees, especially the ones that we are going to, the one that we're going to talk today in particular, exemplified to the maximum. Like, he's exemplary in this. So this verse is Labdhva sudurlabham idam bahusambhavante. Labdhva, if you see the word, first word, something in Hindi we use labha, right? We obtain, gain, some gain. Labdhva. So by somehow or other we have got something. What is that something? That something that we've got is human form of life. Somehow we've got this, Labdhva. But Bhagavatam says is Sudurlabham. Sudurlabham means it's extremely rare. Extremely rare to appreciate and understand this. There are verses in the scriptures like Padma Purana says, Jalaja Navalakshani. Jalaja Navalakshani means there are 900,000, 9 lakh different species of aquatics. Labdhva Sudurlabham. So when I am saying that Sudurlabham, when Bhagavatam is saying Sudurlabham, that means this, you go to some, you watch some Discovery Channel or you watch some National Geographic. You see so many kinds of water bodies which are present, which we don't see them because they're water bodies, they're inside. Colorful, various kinds of forms, limbs, all these are there. And Bhagavatam is saying, Sudurlabham means, you take a body of any of this fish, you die as the fish and take a birth again in another kind of fish. All 900,000 different varieties of bodies one has to go through. Not like one aquatic, one plant, one animal, and then I'm getting a human form of life. No. After going through all the species, all the different bodies of aquatics, all the different bodies of animals, all the different bodies of plants, all the different bodies of reptiles, all the different bodies of insects, one gets a very rare human form of life. Labdhva sudurlabham. Idam bahu sambhavante. Bahu sambhavante means again we are taking body, again we are dying. Again we are taking body, again we are dying. This process of birth and death is continuing eternally. Bahu sambhavante. Many, many lifetimes have gone. And one gets this rare human form of life. Why is it so rare? Because in this rare human form of life, we can actually inquire about Brahman. We can inquire about the Supreme Lord. All other forms of life, they're all busy. In some, they're, the plants, the reptiles, the beasts, the aquatics, the birds, they don't have any higher purpose of life. They can't think of it. But in human form of life, we can look up, we can see our position with the Lord, we can establish that position that is our constitutional position with the Lord, revive that position and go back to Him. That is why this is called Sudurlabham. And on top of that, to take a birth as a human being in Kali Yuga, in this material world is even rarer, because Brahma is praying in Bhagavatam. We'll see that how even the demigods aspire to take birth in human form of life in the material world in Kali Yuga. Because the process of attaining God is so easy, so easily available. But look at our ironical situation. We don't want to. We are busy with some other things. Our life, usually you ask people, why are you not able to come to temple? Why are you not able to attend classes? Why are you not able to participate in those simple activities given? Hardly you see that in that group, WhatsApp group, we have hundreds of devotees. 20, 30 join. Out of that 20, 30, 2, 3 people respond to those activities. People say, usually I don't have time. Today morning we were reading Srila Prabhupada's biography. There is one section where Prabhupada writes one article in Back to Godhead when he was all alone, all by himself. ISKCON was not established. Poor, hardly any penny with him, but his mission was to publish this Back to Godhead magazine at any cost. And there is one article that he has written, no time. That's what people say, no time. So where the time is going then? People are engrossed. People are madly engaged in this materialistic activities. They don't even know the value of this human form of life. Sudurlabham. If one goes to the hellish planet, takes birth there, constantly tormented by different living entities, it's a painful life there. So difficult that it is very difficult to remember the Lord. And one takes birth in the heavenly planets, there are so many material comforts that there is no need to remember the Lord. So in this human form of life, in this material world, one is blessed to have both happiness and miseries in proper quota, in the right amount, so that one doesn't feel too miserable, doesn't feel too elated, and can make use of this human form of life to achieve the highest perfection of realizing God. Labdhva sudurlabham idam bahusambhavante manushyam arthadam anityam. Arthadam, the word, if you see, actually we use in our path of devotion, there is a step called anartha nivriti. Anartha, the word anartha, can anybody say what does it mean?
Disaster.
What is it?
Which is not good, which is unexpected.
Unfortunate, Prabhu.
Unfortunate, which is not unfortunate. Is what is the Mataji? Somebody was telling which is not.
No, Prabhu, Ankit this side. So I was telling which is not good, which is unexpected.
Unexpected, which is not required, which is unnecessary in our life, unwanted, is of insignificant. But then we are considering that to be so important. Exact opposite of anartha is artha. Manusyam arthadam. This human form of life is very valuable. Very, very valuable. But the next adjective is anityam. Anityam means nobody knows how long, what is the duration of our life. There was this whole country, or there was so much of hue and cry in the media regarding the death of an actor. I've never seen, but I saw that. Was he 70-year-old? Was he an old, dilapidated, unable to walk, in his last days that he committed suicide? No, he was 34-year-old. That's why all this concern. Oh, how young that person, and why did he commit suicide? My life, I know there are few friends of mine who are no more. Forget about others. They're no more. They're gone. Arthadam anityam. That is why in the song that we sing, Bhajau Remana, there is one line which comes, Jivana talamala, Kamala dala jala, Jivana talamala. Imagine a drop of water on a leaf of lotus. Any moment it can go out. Kamala Dala Jala Jivana Talamala. That's what our life is. Any moment it will be over. But still, Arthadam, this is such a valuable thing. Yet we are not understanding this. We are engrossed in our own life, in our own things. Even if there are opportunities coming one after another, there are, somebody is saying, why don't you read this literature? Why don't you try to practice this? You don't have time. Manusyam Arthadam Anityam Apiha Dhira Turnam Yateta Napated Anumritya Yavan. So what is it that one should do? Turnam Yateta Napated Anumritya Yavan. Till the last breath of our life. Turnam Yateta Napated. Till the time we have not fallen down. Till that time one should be engaged in devotional service. With a great determination. Turnam Yateta Napated Anumritya Yavan. So that the Mrityu, again we don't get into the cycle of birth and death. Anumrityu Yavan. Nishrayasaya Vishaya Kalu Sarvata Syat. Nishrayasaya means, see, the goal of human form of life should be Nishrayasaya. Shreya, the ultimate goal it should be, not some prayer. Nishrayasaya, that goal we should try to attain. And not get, engrossed in some small little things, happiness, small little allurements. Nishrayasaya Vishaya Kalu Sarvata Syat. Vishaya, this engagement, enjoyment of Vishaya, matter, enjoyment of senses is available in all forms of life. Vishaya Khalu Sarvata Syat. It is available. What is the big deal in that? Actually, this particular verse, the reason I chose is Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, always used to cry, used to weep. Not because, this verse is talking about some high, esoteric, exalted topics of Radha Krishna love. No. This is out of great compassion. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, even if he's sitting on the banks of Radha Kund, he's talking about this verse and laments how people are so madly engrossed. How this rare human form of life we have got, and yet we don't understand the value of it. And he used to cry. Labdhva sudullabham idam bahu sambhavante manusyam arthadam anityam apiha dhira turnam yateta napate danumrityu yavan nishrayasaya vishaya khalu sarvatasya. The translation of this verse is, after many, many births and deaths, one achieves the rare human form of life, which although temporary affords one the opportunity to attain the highest perfection. Thus a sober human being, dhira, should quickly endeavor for the ultimate perfection of life. Turnam yateta. Turnam is quickly, immediately. You can't wait after this thing is over, after that thing is done, my children are settled, this thing is over, then I'll come. Turnam, immediately. Thus a sober human being should quickly endeavor for the ultimate perfection of life as long as his body, which is always subject to death, has not fallen down and died. Turnam yateta napatet. Till the time it has not died, one should immediately take it up and just do this. After all, sense gratification is available even in the most abominable species of life. Vishaya khalu sarvatah syat. Whereas Krishna consciousness is possible only for a human being. The next verse is actually, this is a lamentation by the demigods against Bhagavatam. Okay, this verse is already displayed. The number is not correct. It's in the 5th canto. I don't remember the verse number. I can see that. This verse says, Nayatra Vaikuntha Katha Sudhapaga Na Sadhavo Bhagavatas Tadashraya Na Yatra Yagyesa Makha Mahotsava Suresha Lokopi Na Vaisa Sevyatam. So you can see the translation. It's already, somehow it is, I forgot to. Translation is saying, an intelligent person does not take interest in a place even in the topmost planetary system if the pure Ganges of topics concerning the Supreme Lord's activities does not flow there. If there are not devotees engaged in service on the banks of such a river of piety, or if there are no festivals of Sankirtan Yajna to satisfy the Lord, especially since Sankirtan Yajna is recommended in this age. So this verse is spoken by the demigods to take birth in this Jambudvipa, in this planet Earth, because it is so rare. Why it is rare? Because here, Nayatra Vaikuntha Katha Sudhapaga, the nectar of Vaikuntha Katha, the devotees of the Lord and the pastimes of the Lord, one gets a chance to hear this. In Vaikuntha or in higher planetary systems, there is no such opportunity because people are engaged in devotional service. Nayatra Vaikuntha Katha Sudhapaga na sadhavo bhagavatas tadashraya. Or it is also equally rare to find a sadhu who has taken shelter of Bhagavata. Na sadhavo bhagavatas tadashraya. Who has taken shelter of Bhagavat, Srimad Bhagavatam. Na sadhavo bhagavatas tadashraya na yatra yajnesha makha mahotsava suresha lokopi navaisas siryatam. Where there is no yajna, where there is no mahautsava, where there is no festivals, we are now trying to celebrate Janmashtami. We are trying to perform some kind of sacrifices. We are trying to hear. We are trying to give our time and attention. These are all not available because naturally people are engaged in some sense gratification, or even in Vaikuntha planet, this glories of Krishna Katha is not available because everybody is engaged in devotional service. So that is why the demigods, they're saying, Suresa lokopi na vaisa sevyatam. They're saying we should not stay even in the heavenly planets. They themselves are saying, even though they are residents of that heavenly planet. Suresa lokopi na vaisa sevyatam. So it is our great fortune that we are able to get to hear this wonderful nectarian pastimes of the Lord, His devotees. Instead of relishing, implementing them in our life, we still, unfortunately, we are not very much interested in applying them. We still have our own problems, issues, and our own attractions, which keeps us engaged. There is one rhetoric question which is asked in Bhagavatam, whether bhakti is difficult or easy. What do you think? What is the answer to this? Whether bhakti is easy or is it difficult? And the answer is given in Bhagavatam, it depends. Somebody who has taken the shelter of a pure devotee, for him bhakti is very easy. Very easy. Mahajano yena gatasya pantha. When somebody follows in the footsteps of Mahajanas, follows their, sees their activities and tries to follow that, it is not difficult. Whereas somebody who doesn't have any faith, who doesn't have any belief, who doesn't want to, even if he hears there is nothing, no heart change, no heart transformation, again and again the same doubts, the same questions, the same samsayas. And what happens to those people? They continue to remain in this material world, continue to take life, birth after birth. Imagine we play this game of, what do you call those? Game of dice, right? That snake and ladder. Right? Somebody has somehow managed to reach to number 99. It's 99 or 98? 98. And after 98, there is one step where there is one big snake who's waiting to gulp us. But if we don't get one, anything else we will win. But ironically and very sadly, we want only one. We want one so that we can go down. We still want to enjoy. We want to get into that mouth of that snake and take birth again. That's what is our life. So rare, so difficult, so first of all to get a human form of life, which is where one is born in a place where there are civilized people, not born in some uncivilized species like some tribals or something, then it is gone. Civilized species, having taken birth in civilized species, to come in association of devotees, to hear Harikatha, to take shelter of a pure devotee, yet we are not interested, we are looking for that snake. When that snake will, I'm praying, I'm eagerly looking to get into the mouth of that snake so that I take birth again. That's what is our position. Nayatra Vaikuntha Katha Sudhapaga, Nasadhavo Bhagavatas Tadashraya, Nayatra Yajnesha Makha Mahotsava, Suresha Lokopinas Vaisa Sevyata. We will go to the pastime of today, which is related to this two verse, which we just discussed. Very, very nice. The title of today's devotee and his exchange with the Lord is called The Homeless. I want you to meditate on this picture for a few seconds. I will not speak, just look at this picture. How many of you have not seen this picture, not this picture, the temple in this picture? Not seen. Everybody
Not,
has seen?
not seen, Prabhu.
Not seen.
Okay, I heard, though I didn't hear who said that.
Shubham Prabhu.
Shubham. Oh, Shubham, you've not seen. That's
No, I haven't seen.
okay. Who else?
Sanchita Prabhu, not seen.
Okay, right. Okay, you would have not seen. You have not gone.
Prabhu, is it Radha Govind temple in Vrindavan?
No, no.
Then even I have not seen.
Okay. Actually, if you see closely in this picture, there is Prabhupada going on his morning walk. And this temple is the most iconic temple of Vrindavan. The oldest temple. If you want to see any picture of Vrindavan, most likely you'll get this temple as, one of the hits. This temple is called Radha Madan Mohan, the oldest temple in Vrindavan, built by this.
Prabhu, it is Radha Madan Mohan. It is near Baki Bihari temple.
Yeah, that's. But you were saying Radha Govind. That is.
Sorry, Prabhu. It is Radha Madan Mohan near Baki Bihari temple.
Yes,
I've
yes. So
seen
it
this.
comes in the grammar mark. That's fine. Yeah, that's right. So this Radha Madan Mohan temple is worshipped, or this temple was established by a devotee by name Sanatan Goswami. And today's pastime is about Sanatan Goswami and the deity of Radha Madan Mohan. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time just to speak about Sanatan Goswami, and just to hear about his glories. One can Punanti, that verse that we were reading yesterday, Ramya Tira Rambhamana Kokadamba Bhusita. In that there is Mam Punanti. Just the glories of this pure devotees can purify us. So let's see how do we proceed in this section. I want you to chant this mantra. This is a pranam mantra for Radha Madan Mohan. Jayatam Surato Pangor Mama Mandamater Gati Mat Sarvasa Padam Bhojo Radha Madana Mohano. We'll chant one more time. Jayatam Surato Pangor Mama Mandamater Gati Mat Sarvasa Padam Bhojo Radha Madana Mohano. So this is a prayer which is offered to Radha Madan Mohan. Beautiful prayer, and the meaning is so wonderful. Jayatam. Jayatam is to all glories. Jayatam Surato. Jayatam Surato. Surato is who's constantly absorbed, or is constantly absorbed. Jayatam Surato Pangor. Now there's two words which are used here. Pangor, Mama Mandamater. Mandamati and Pangor. Pango is lame. A person who is lame. Lame because of attachment to the material. Attachment has broken my limb. Pangor. Mama Mandamater. And Mati, I don't have Mati. It is so difficult even to hear, to sit for 45 minutes, half an hour. We can't sit. Other things, some very nice cricket match is going on, something else is going on, very attractive. Hours and hours goes, we don't care. Jayatam Surato, that's why this prayer is Jayatam Surato Pangor. I am first of all broken because I am looking for this material enjoyment. And Mama Mandamater. I don't have any dull-headed, dull intelligence. Mandamater, Kati. Mat Sarvasa Padam Bhojo, Radha Madana Mohano. Padam Bhojo is referring to the lotus feet of Radha Madan Mohan. This verse is saying that glory to the all merciful Radha and Madan Mohan. I am lame and ill-advised, yet they are my directors, and their lotus feet are everything to me. Mat Sarvasa Padam Bhojo Radha Madana Mohan. So with that prayer of Radha Madan Mohan, let's hear about Sanatan Goswami and his wonderful pastimes. As I said, great Acharya who has come in our Sampradaya, and so glorious is his activities that we can go on talking about him at least for days, whatever is given in our Chaitanya Charitamrita and other scriptures. This is the present Madan Mohan temple. You can see it's at an elevated place, and you have to climb up to this temple. Very beautiful, very, very beautiful. Those of you who have never been, who have never seen this, you are saying, you should pray to Radha Madan Mohan that one day you get a chance to go and see this temple. It's such a wonderful temple. Now to talk about Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami was actually born in a Saraswat Brahmin family in Karnataka. There were 3 brothers, and their names were Amar, Santosh, and Ballav. So Amar became Rupa Goswami, Santosh is Sanatan Goswami, and Ballav became Anupam. They were all initiated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are so many wonderful pastimes of Sanatan Goswami, but the one that there are a few we will talk about. The first one is when he was a child, he was, in his dream, one day he saw that, there is a priest or there is a devotee of the Lord who gifted him a Bhagavatam. And this is a dream that he had. And just by seeing that dream, the fact that he's getting Bhagavatam, he woke up. And he woke up, and then the intensity of the desire to have Bhagavatam in his life was so strong, it was so intense, that it is mentioned that on the same day, when he woke up in the morning, there was somebody who came, a devotee who came, and he gave him this Bhagavatam, and he held it. He kept this Bhagavatam always in his heart, and we will see that in later also in his life. It is mentioned that Sanatan Goswami, every day he used to do Govardhan Parikrama. And when he used to do Govardhan Parikrama, he wanted to carry this entire Bhagavatam always with him, so that he can take shelter of Bhagavatam, and whenever there is necessity, from his mouth Bhagavatam can come out. He has written some wonderful glories of Bhagavatam. He has given a commentary on Bhagavatam. It's just nectarian. Brihad Bhagavatamrita and Laghu Bhagavatamrita. This is a verse which is composed by Sanatan Goswami. He says, Asadhu sadhutva dain ati nichochataraka hana muncha kadachin mam premna hrit kanthayo spura. So he's telling, if somebody takes the shelter of Bhagavatam, or somebody keeps Bhagavatam in his heart, not Bhagavatam as it is in the cupboard, then what happens? Asadhu sadhutva dain. Asadhu, an unsaintly person, a person with no saintly qualities also becomes sadhu. Asadhu sadhutva dain ati nicho ucchataraka. A person who is nicha, who is fallen, becomes uccha. Ati nicha ucchataraka. Hana muncha kadachin mam premna hrit kanthayo spura. So he's praying to a Bhagavatam to remain in his heart. Hrit kanthayo, and whenever it is required, when there is a necessity, it should come out of my mouth. This is the prayer of Sanatan Goswami. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O giver of saintliness to the unsaintly, O uplifter of the very fallen, please don't ever leave me. Please become manifest in my heart and my throat, accompanied by pure love for Krishna. Kadachin mama premna harit kanthayo spura. Become manifest in my heart and my throat. So Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they were extremely bright, effulgent, scholarly, and they were, when they grew up, just by their glare, by their effulgence, people knew that they are very saintly. So this, one day what happened, this King Nawab Hussain Shah, who was there at that point in time, the ruler of West Bengal, by some arrangement of the Lord, he got to hear the glories of Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. He heard how expert they are in dealing with the worldly matters and how they knew so many different languages. And what he did, he thought to himself, and this was a plan made by him, to make these two great stalwarts, very intelligent and wise people as ministers in his cabinet. So he made them, prime minister and finance minister. And the reason why he did that was that because he was, he was fearful that if they are there outside, then these Hindus will protest one day or will do some damage. But if they're there in the Muslim king, then, so even their heroes are taken shelter of this Muslim king, then they will not, the Hindus also will not quarrel or will not do anything. And what he told to Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami was that if you don't join me, then we will do damage to all the sacrifices and we will kill these Brahmanas and you will be responsible for that. So either you be responsible for that or you become Muslim and you follow your Vedic rituals, Vedic lifestyle, doesn't matter, but you just accept Muslim names. So Rupa Goswami became Dabir Khas and Sanatan Goswami became Sakar Malik. And there is a place called Ramkeli where they were there along with Nawab Hussain Shah, and it is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita and other literatures that even though they were there in Ramkeli under the regime of this Muslim king, they had created a replica of Vrindavan there in Ramkeli. And you still can go there and see that place, where there was a small temple of Madan Mohan, which they used to worship. There was Radha Kund, there was Govardhan, there was Shyama Kund, everything was there. And they were worshipping Madan Mohan and they were crying that, such a waste of this human form of life that we have to serve someone who's a meat eater, who's a butcher of cows, and we are doing this. What a pity on our human birth. And at that point in time, they heard about the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the moment they heard the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were eager to meet him. They were dying to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They wrote letters after letters to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to meet him. But there was no response. And there was just one letter which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu responded. And that letter was so amazing, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wrote to Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. That letter, the essence of that letter is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to these two brothers that, like a wife, like a woman who has got an affair with another man, like a paramour, who is there in the house, engaged in doing all the activities perfectly so that the husband doesn't doubt her, but yet her mind is eagerly waiting when to meet that other person. So it was written in an allegorical fashion, but they could understand. What they understood from that is that they should continue to do their duties to the best of their abilities so that Hussain Shah, who's like their husband, does not doubt on them, yet they should constantly look for meeting that paramour, which is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes in an appropriate time. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was about to go to Vrindavan, he happened to pass through Ramkeli. And when he happened to pass through Ramkeli, these two brothers, they went and they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is mentioned how they went and met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita. They were carrying straws in their mouth. They were tying a cloth around their neck. And they went and they fell flat in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The representation why they were doing that, the straw in their mouth and a cloth around their neck represents they're like animals. So many people are glorifying us. So many people are saying we are very wise. We are very, very learned. But actually we don't know really what is the purpose of life. And that humility is, as as mentioned in Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita, in various places, like we saw in the items of knowledge in 13th chapter when we were reading Bhagavad Gita, Amanitvam Adambitvam, Ahimsa Santir Arjavam. First thing is Amanitvam. Sanatan Goswami is actually supposed to be the representation of humility, the embodiment of humility. So they fell down in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blessed them saying that even if you are Muslims, you have got some Muslim names, you are untouched by this Muslim rulers' activities. You are carrying Vrindavan in your heart. So after that one meeting with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these two brothers developed intense desire. Turnam Atsesa, that that verse we were seeing, immediately. One gets that, then there is no more waiting and all. They just wanted to give this up and go. Rupa Goswami could do that. He gave up his post and he joined Chaitanya's movement. He went and took shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sanatan Goswami could not do that because by the time Sanatan Goswami was about to do, the king became aware of it and he said, if you leave, it's not allowed. You just can't leave like that. So Sanatan Goswami said, okay, I will not leave, but I will not be able to serve you now. My mind is now, I'm not able to get any interest to do this kind of activities. I want to take some break. I'll come back. So I'm not well. I want to be on my own. So the king thought, okay, let me give him some time. As long as he's going to come back, it's a gain for me. And Sanatan Goswami, in the excuse of being not well, stayed at home. And what was he doing? He called other devotees, other brahmanas, and he was sitting there in the middle and discussing Bhagavatam. So this is what is his life. Asadhu sadhatva dain atinichyocha taraka ha na muncha kadachin mam premna hrit kantayos pruha. So he was discussing Bhagavatam. He was engrossed, he was absorbed, he was completely blissful in discussing Bhagavatam with other devotees. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months passed. And after 5-6 months, when the king sent someone and he saw that Sanatan Goswami was perfectly fine, there was no problem, he was healthy, there was no sickness, and he's discussing Bhagavatam, the king actually told that he should be imprisoned. He should be put behind the bars. And he was put behind the bars, and Sanatan Goswami was having this intense separation. He was feeling that he's not able to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he's rotting himself in this behind the bars. And then at that point in time, and he was constantly guarded by some Muslim guards. There was a letter which was written by Rupa Goswami, which is very, very cryptic, very wonderful letter. We don't have time to go into that. But that letter, basically any letter which used to come to Sanatan Goswami or any letter that he used to write were read by this guards to see that there is no plan of his escaping or anything of that sort. Keeping that in mind, Rupa Goswami wrote one letter to Sanatan Goswami. They are very intelligent, extremely intelligent, and nothing could be made out of that letter. It was written in a very cryptic way. We will discuss that some point in time. But if those letters are expanded, it says Yadupati ko gatva Mathura pure. The king of Yadupati, we were seeing yesterday that sloka that we were chanting of another name of Krishna. Where is that Krishna who was the ruler of Yadu? Where has he gone? Yadupati ko gatva Mathura pure. So he in that verse is telling, where is that Lord Ram who was there, who was ruling for the kingdom of Ayodhya for so many years? Where has he gone? If Krishna and Ram are also living there, living this mortal material world and going back, what to talk of mundane material people like us? We have very finite time. And he said, don't waste time. I've got some money with me. You allure the guard and you escape from that prison. And that's what Sanatan Goswami did. He told that, you are a nice, devout Muslim. You will be able to go Makkah. I'll arrange some money for you. And you'll get the punya, the pious credit of, allowing a person to escape. Because I also want to go and meet my Lord. So you will get the punya of allowing me to go and meet my Lord. And I'll give you money also. So you release me. Then the guard said, what should I speak to my king? If he asks me, what do I say? So he gave a plan for him also. That you tell him that, when I took him out for clearing his bowels, at that point in time, he jumped into the river and he escaped. I couldn't do anything. And that's what he got convinced, materially convinced, spiritually convinced, intellectually convinced. And Sanatan Goswami left from the prison. And he went through the forest and he knew that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Banaras, in Kasi. So he goes to that place and in the process, he meets his brother-in-law He took a quilt from him. The brother-in-law was very rich, and he was telling, "Why don't you stay with me?" Nothing actually. He didn't want to waste even a single moment, and he went there directly to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was having lunch at that time. He said, "There is a big Vaishnava who's going to come to Chandrasekhar Mishra. Go and welcome him. Get him inside." Chandrasekhar Mishra goes out and sees outside, this side, left side, right side. He couldn't find any Vaishnava, any saint. He comes back and says, "Oh Lord, I couldn't find anyone." So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, "Did you see anyone at all?" He said, "Yes, there was one Muslim beggar in tattered clothes who was there with beard and unkempt clothes and hair." Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Bring him in." And this was Sanatan Goswami, who was in tattered clothes, not eaten for long, has gone through all kinds of difficulties, austerities, coming through a forest, running for his life, escaping from this Muslim king. He has gone through severe austerities in his body, but in his mind, in his heart, he was having a feast of meeting the Supreme Lord himself. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Sanatan Goswami, he embraced him. And Chaitanya Charitamrita mentions there are tears from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eyes, and he bathed Sanatan Goswami with his tears. Sanatan Goswami is feeling himself so lowly. He's telling, "Oh Lord, please don't embrace me. I'm not worthy of your embrace. I'm not taken bath." And he gets, Chandrasekhar Mishra was addressed to shave him off and give him some clothes. So Sanatan Goswami gets shaven off, takes a nice bath, and he asked Chandrasekhar Mishra, "Do you have some old tattered clothes with you?" He says, "Yes, I have got a dhuti which has got some holes and all." He said, "Please give me that." And he takes that and tears it apart, makes a chaddar and kaupin out of it and wears that. And he comes out, and seeing that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so happy that he doesn't have any tinge of material attachment, but still he was having that quilt which he got it from his brother-in-law on his shoulder. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranga, was looking at him in a sideways glance. And that was seen by Sanatan Goswami, and he goes out and finds a beggar and exchanges his new quilt with him, with his old, dirty, tattered, whatever that quilt was, to say that that's a quilt. He gets that, and he was so ecstatic, so happy to having got that. And he comes and puts that, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so happy to see him. So this Sanatan Goswami, what to speak of his glories? There are so many glories. He never used to live under one tree in Vrindavan. He was given the instruction by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go and excavate those places of pastimes of Radha Krishna in Vrindavan, build a nice temple, and write wonderful literatures explaining this, the message of the Vedic literatures. And they have written there, they have painstakingly written so many literatures. And look at the detachment that they were having. They were not even sleeping under one tree. And here we are trying to balance our material life, spiritual life. Spiritual life, we do little, and we feel, oh, so many things are getting affected there in material life, and we go and grab that. We want to make advancement in that material life as well. And here there is another example of this Goswamis. They were so blissful. Turnam Aseshak Mandal. They were actually very rich aristocratic family they belonged to. But they gave up all these material things, like in Bhagavatam, it is, this verse which is written by Srinivas Acharya. He says, Chatva Turnam Asesha Mandalapati Shrenim Sada Tuchhavat. Tuchha, these are all like poultry. Like you spit. Tuchhavat. Like that they gave up everything. Bhutva Dina Ganesha Karunya Kaupina Kamthashrito. Sripad Sankaracharya, he says, if a person has got only one asset as Kaupina, Kaupina Vanta Badabhagyavanta, his only asset is Kaupin, he is considered to be very fortunate. We see some renunciants in Vrindavan or elsewhere. When we see them, they don't have any material possessions. They are, they neither have, oh, little heat, what will happen to my body? Little cold, oh, I don't have heater, what will happen to me? Or rain, now what will happen to me? We are so concerned, but they have no such worries, no arrangements, nothing. yet they are so blissful. Tyaktva turnam asesha mandalapati shrenim sada tuchchavat bhutva dina ganeshako karunaya kaupina kanthashritau gopi bhava rasamrita abdhi lahari kallola magnau muhur. Always they are absorbed in that higher state of consciousness, bliss of Krishna prema. They are not affected by all these things. Gopi bhava rasamrita abdhi lahari kallola magnau muhur vande rupa sanatanau raghujugau Sri Jiva Gopalaku. Anyway, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction, actually, okay, one thing I should say, and before we move to the next thing, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Sanatan Goswami had this question for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ke ami, kene amai jare tapatroye, iha nahi jani kemone hita hoy. Who am I? I mean, the circle outside, the materialistic people, they give me so many upadhis, so many designations. You are very learned. You are a linguist. You know so many languages. You can talk Vyakaran. You can talk grammar. You know Sanskrit. But I really don't know who I am. Ke ami, kene amai jare tapatroy. Why am I being tormented by these threefold miseries? Iha nahi jani. I don't know this. Kemone hita hoy. And there are wonderful instructions which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given to Sanatan Goswami. That is the basis of his writing of literatures. One of the things which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says is that there are this, the living entity is actually by its nature, Jivera Swarup Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. We are eternally servant of Krishna. We have got nothing to do with this body, neither the subtle nor the gross. Even when we take birth in this material world, accept this material bodies, we are aloof from this material miseries. Yet we are going through this miseries, this process of difficulties, because we are accepting ourselves to this body. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, he gives the example of a criminal who is punished by the guards. Earlier days, the punishment used to be, they used to take this criminal and they used to dunk him in the water. And they will dunk him in, and when he is completely breathless, it is almost like he's dead, they'll pull him out. And when he's pulled out, he gasps for his breath. He feels so happy that, I'm now relieved. And then again they pull him, they'll push him in. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says this is what is the position of the living entities when they are experiencing the so-called happiness, is not something which is really happiness, but a gap between two successive miseries. It is avoiding misery, which is what they call as happiness. It is far from what happiness really is. Just because I'm relieved from that misery doesn't mean that that is happiness. That is just cessation of that misery temporarily. Again, he is put back into that situation. And this is what keeps us engrossed. Bahu sambhavante, many lifetimes is going after this, but we are busy in this. Who am I? Why do the threefold miseries always give me trouble? If I do not know this, how can I be benefited? So then, I've got this, sorry. So then Sanatan Goswami actually lives in Vrindavan, and he finds that there is a house, what is his name? I'm not able to recall it. He goes to his house, he was doing Madhukari. Madhukari means he used to go and beg whatever people used to give. No, this thing. Whatever people gave, whatever was available, he was satisfied with that. And while doing Madhukari, he saw that there was one place where there was a deity of Krishna, very beautiful, but not kept properly, not properly maintained. And he told them, all the different ways of Agama Sastra, Pancharatriki Viddhi, how to maintain the deity, what should be done, how should it be taken care. The deity was carved by Krishna's grandson, Vajranava. And the deity was worshipped by this family, which Sanatan Goswami came to know later. But he told that this is not the way to worship the deities. And he comes back. And in that night, that same deity came in his dreams, saying that, oh Sanatan, I'm actually hankering to get service from you. Can you take care of me? And he also appeared in the dream of that person who was taking care, saying that there is this great saintly person available whose service I want to receive now. So Sanatan Goswami goes and gets this deity, but he himself didn't have shelter. He had only two clothes, one dhoti that he was wearing and the other one that he was washing and keeping. So in that other dhoti that he had, he made a jhula, he made a swing. And in that swing, hanging it from a tree, he used to keep that deity, the deity of Madan Mohan. He was known as Madan Gopal. And then whatever he used to get from begging, whatever was available, he used to feed that, feed the deity. But the deity was very happy because, it is not about, those 56 different items. It is about how much of love and how much of feeling one has for the Lord. And one day when he was giving dry chapati to this deity, the deity requested Sanatan Goswami, can you give me a little salt? So Sanatan Goswami told, I had told you before that I don't have a shelter, I don't have a place myself. I can give whatever I'm getting. So I'm getting only these dry chapatis I've been giving you. Now today you are asking salt. Tomorrow you'll ask ghee. Day after tomorrow you'll ask 56 items. Where will I get this? You have to eat this only and be satisfied. The Lord, took that chapati, whatever it is, he's giving that only he took. But there was a very rich merchant by name some Kapoor. First name starts with Ramdas Kapoor, not Ram. It starts with K. So there was a very rich merchant, some Kapoor, whose ship got stuck in the banks of river Yamuna, and he had a lot of jewels, and there was no way that he could have taken those jewels. So he wanted to distribute it to the people over there, and didn't know whom to give, what to do with that. So Krishna himself goes as a boy and tells that this merchant that there is a saintly person here who has a deity also. He will come and help you to come out of this place that you are stuck here. He'll help you, but you give all your money to him. He'll build a temple for me. He'll build a temple for Krishna, not for me. So this boy goes and gets Sanatan Goswami. They rescue this person, and with all the money that he had, Sanatan Goswami first asked him that I'll help you. Actually, by the time Sanatan Goswami reached there, that boy had already helped. He had removed all his jewelries, other items, everything was removed. And that man told, your assistant has removed everything. I'm very happy. I'll give you this money to you. I'm very satisfied with the service of your assistant. Will you take this? Sanatan Goswami first told, no, I don't need this. What will I do with this money? Do you have salt? Because I know someone who wants salt. Can you give me some salt? He was little amazed. He said, yes, I have 2 bags of salt. I'll give you. You take that salt. You also take this money and do whatever you want to. And that's how this beautiful temple of Madan Mohan was built. The first iconic temple in Vrindavan, Radha Madan Mohan temple, because of the sincere love and devotional service of Sanatan Goswami, this deity was established. So this place is called Dwadasa Aditya Tila. Is that correct? That place actually, yesterday we were hearing the pastime of Kalia dancing, Krishna dancing on the hoods of Kalia. So Bhagavatam mentions after that, after this Kalia pastime was over, Krishna, when he came out of river Yamuna, he was feeling cold. He was shivering. So everybody was concerned that Krishna was feeling cold. Krishna looked at the sun. So the sun expanded himself in 12 forms. So that is why it is called Dwadasa Aditya Tila. That place where he expanded to 12 forms, that is called Dwadasa Aditya, and that is the place where the Radha Madan Mohan temple was built by Sanatan Goswami. So that's the pastime for today. This is the beautiful deity of Radha Madan Mohan. You should visit and understand that how difficult, how much of in Vrindavan, when Sanatan Goswami went first time, it is mentioned, there was no deity worship. There was this places of all this pastime places of Radha Krishna were unknown. They were all hidden by bushes, shrubs, and trees. They excavated these places. They identified these places, and because of all their sincere devotion and their hard work, that we are able to go and see these places and understand these pastimes. So we will go to the all yesterday's. We will go to the second section today, which is the slokas, Stavamala. Stava actually means slokas, glorification, and mala is a garland. So we are seeing the different glorification by the pure devotees of the Lord. So today's verse is connected to yesterday's pastime that we were discussing, and the title of this verse is the eternal time. This verse is actually is spoken, or this is offered by the wives of Kalia. They are called Nagapatni, and they were very, very. I mean, those prayers are very amazing, very, very nice prayers offered by these Nagapatnis. We will see if there is some time, but there is one verse that we have taken for today's discussion. We will chant that verse. So I will chant one word and then one line, and then we will chant this verse. Kalaya, Kalanabhaya, Kalaya Kalanabhaya, Kalavayava, Sakshine, Kalavayava Sakshine, Viswaya, Tad Upadrashtre, Viswaya Tad Upadrashtre, Tad Kartre Viswahetave, Tad Kartre Viswahetave, Kalaya Kalanabhaya, Kalavayava Sakshine, Viswaya Tad Upadrashtre, Tad Kartre Viswahetave, Kalaya Kalanabhaya,
Kalaya Kalanabhaya,
Kalavayava Sakshine,
Kalavaya Sakshine,
Viswaya Tad Upadrashtre,
Viswaya Tad Upadastra,
Tad Kartre Viswahetave. It's the meanings. Kalaya, Kalaya is unto time. So this verse is referring to Krishna in different ways as manifestation of time. Kalaya, Kala Nabhaya. So Kalaya is unto time. We know in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, Kalosmi. Kalosmi. He says, I am time, destroyer of everyone. So here it is saying Kalaya, unto time. Kala Nabhaya, unto him who is the shelter of time. Time takes shelter of that person. He is time as well as the shelter of time. Kalaya Kala Nabhaya. Kala Abhayava. Abhayava means the various phases of life, of time. Past, present and future. Creation, maintenance and annihilation. The different phases of time. That also is Krishna. Kala Abhayava. Sakshini, he is the witness. Kala is time, is the witness to all our activities. Actually, this life is just a spot in the journey of our lifetimes. Just a spot. Sakshini, and Kala is witness to all the activities that we are doing. Not just in this life, in previous lives also. Viswaya Tad Upadrashtre. Viswaya, to the form of the universe. Tad Upadrashtre, to the observer of it. Tat Kartre Viswahetave, to the creator of it, to the creator of Vishwa, and Hetave, the total cause of it. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says he expands himself. He is there in everywhere in this material creation, yet he is aloof. So here it is mentioned Vishwaya. He is there in this forms of the universe. He is also the Vishwa Hetave. He is the cause of this universe. And he is the creator of it. Tat Kartre. So this is the translation. Obeisances unto you who are time itself. First time, Kalaya, the shelter of time. What is the shelter of time? Kalanabhaya. And the witness of time, Sakshine, in all its phases. You are the universe and also its separate observer. You are its creator and also the totality of all its causes. Interestingly, sometimes people say, okay, if Krishna becomes the universe, you are the universe. He doesn't, lose his identity. He's also separate observer. He's seeing separately. You're the universe also its separate observer. That is why in Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyante Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlava. To come to this kind of an understanding and conclusion that behind everything there is Vasudeva, that kind of a person is rare. You are the universe, you are also its separate observer. You are its creator and also the totality of all its causes. And of course, time and the shelter of time. Context, we saw yesterday how the water of river Yamuna got polluted, contaminated by the poison of Krishna Ahina, the black snake, Kalia. And so Lord Krishna took action against him and made him leave the Yamuna, go elsewhere, and thus the water became purified. Now these wives of Kalia, known as the Nagapatnis, saw that their husband was being subdued by the kicking of the Lord. They prepared to worship the Lord. Very wonderful, actually, this section of Bhagavatam where they offer their prayers. Maybe some other time you see that. What is the mood of the prayer? Krishna is the supreme person living as Paramatma within every living entity. He is the witness, he is the Paramatma. If one becomes just conscious and mindful of this one thing, maybe nobody in the world is seeing me, but how will I avoid the Lord who is always situated in my body as Paramatma, as a witness? He is seeing all our thoughts, all our actions. Krishna is the embodiment of total time in past, present, and future. Krishna is simultaneously one with and different from the universe. He is the creator, as well as he is the universe, as well as the creator of the universe and the observer of the universe. Krishna is the superintendent and maintainer of the whole universe. Actually, this prayer is very important and significant because Kalia had all this, poison, venom, envy in his whole body, in his existence. Like that, we also have all this kind of, all the dirty, negative things, feelings inside our heart. And these Nagapatnis are, somewhat good qualities, even though they are in the snake's body, but they have some good qualities. So at least, we should pray to Krishna that like Krishna subdued Kalia, he should subdue that demoniac propensities which is there in our heart. That is the mood of this prayer. We will chant this verse again. So we will go word by word and then one line at a time, and 2 lines at a time, and 4 lines. Kalaya, Kalanabhaya, Kalabhayava, Sakshine, Viswaya, Tad Upadrashtre, Tat Kartre, Viswahetave, Kalaya Kalanabhaya, Kalabhayava Sakshine, Viswaya Tad Upadrashtre, Tat Kartre Viswahetave. We will do one more time. Kalaya Kalanabhaya, Kalabhayava Sakshine, Viswaya Tad Upadrashtre, Tat Kartre Viswahetave. We'll do 2 lines at a time. Kalaya Kalanabhaya, Kalabhayava Sakshine, Viswaya Tad Upadrashtre, Tat Kartre Viswahetave. We'll do the 4 lines. Kalaya Kalanabhaya, Kalabhayava Sakshine, Viswaya Tad Upadrashtre, Tat Kartre Viswahetave. Perfect. The activities today. Before we go there, actually, I want to thank those of you who are taking time and putting those, verses, your recordings. even if others are not putting, not able to do, don't get discouraged or don't get into the. Actually, Prabhupada in one place he says that this devotional life is not meant for easy, lazy, and crazy people. Easy, lazy, and crazy. So sometimes, people get lazy. Sometimes they think, okay, not meant for me, not today. Maybe some other time, once I did. And some people are really crazy. There is nothing, no matter how much we hear, something is going on, some entertainment, we are hearing some stories. Different people have different intentions. But I want to thank sincerely those who are doing this and taking advantage of this, because this is not meant for some entertainment or some storytelling. This is not the purpose of this. This is a journey to Janmashtami, where actually by following this, by hearing these pastimes, by learning from these great devotees, we can advance in our spiritual life. We can achieve that consciousness. So today's activity, I saw some of you have posted the photo of the water being offered. We can show how we offer, but okay, let me show that, and then we will see today's activity. I want to, even if I have something, I don't want to go there. Rather, I would like to see and then announce something which is very, very nice, which we have already discussed, but I just want to remind you again about that, and then we will stop. So can you just show the glass? We will show our offering to Nitai Gauranga, how we keep the glass, just to, no, just fine. Just take this and just show. No. Want to explain? No. This is the right. Yeah. So what I should do? You can keep. Is it visible? Yeah. Anybody wants to show the altar, or anybody has offered water and is able to show?
Yes, Prabhu.
I saw some of you have posted. Shubham is prompt. Okay, good.
Prabhu has posted the picture.
Yes, I've seen.
Prabhuji, just now I have posted one.
Okay. Shubham, nice. It's big vessel. Huh? Good that you've closed it also. That lid. Okay. Anybody else? I see Jitendra is fine.
Yes, Prabhu. I have offered water.
Great. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. If you have not been able to, or you could not do, please have one glass and offer the water. Cover the water with a lid. Chinmay wants to show.
Prabhu, we are putting this kind of small jar.
Hold on. I will do. See, 1 second. Okay, small jar.
Jar of water in front of Krishna.
Do you cover it, or it looks like it is it's open, right?
Yeah, it is open, Prabhu.
You can cover it.
Okay.
Some small lid. I saw there was a small lid you offered apple the other day. If you have another one with that closed.
Okay. We have to cover this on the by the plate.
Yes.
Okay.
And you put on tulsi and take it out the next day, 24 hours.
Okay, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yeah. Prabhu, what we should do with this water? Should we drink or?
Yeah, you should mix it with your if you have a like a filter or some water like container which you are using it for drinking water, you can mix it with that. So the whole thing becomes Maha water. Otherwise, on its in just like that, you can drink it also.
Okay, Prabhu.
Okay, if I saw some of you had shared your photos, so that's nice, great. If you don't have or you are not ready, that's fine. So a few days back, we actually spoke about this activity for Janmashtami. I just want you to remind about that because it requires some time. You know, unless you plan for it, and I can tell you that just by doing this little interest and anxiety or taking some amount of austerity, we can make tremendous progress in our spiritual life. Tremendous progress. These are not some we can only help. We can try to say someone that you do this or you will be benefited by this, but we can't actually go and make a person do. So please take some time and think about it, plan for it, and do it. And it will be such a wonderful offering to Krishna on Janmashtami. It will be so pleasing. It is mentioned actually, there are this 24 Ekadasis which come in a year. Of course, this is very Karmakandya, and I didn't want to say, but it just has come. So 24 Ekadasis in a year, we fast on those days, especially from grains. So somebody who's fasting on this Ekadashis considers, it's considered very, very pious, and somebody is making spiritual progress in that. Of course, if somebody is engaging in devotional activities, but even if somebody is doing Chaturmasya, it is considered even more pious than just doing Ekadasis. But if somebody is able to do Janmashtami, it is considered even more pious, even more. So very, very important occasion. It's a nice auspicious day. We should do something to please the Lord. And this small, little, but sincere activity of ours can please the Lord a lot, can satisfy the Lord. So we will stop here. Do you remember the activity that I'm talking about?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Which one? Can you tell me?
The first three activities. First, how did Lord Krishna enter into your life? How is your life changed after Lord Krishna entered? And decorating the altar and keeping some theme. Janmashtami.
First is how Krishna entered in our lives. What changed after Krishna has entered? And third is a theme for decorating the altar for welcoming Krishna. Each video should be 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 20 seconds. 20 seconds is actually a lot of time. The advertisements that comes in between, some in the prime time serials or this thing is hardly 20 seconds or even less than that. So we see sometimes even in YouTube, you see 15 seconds. In that they try to communicate a big message. So think about it and do this. This will be very wonderful, which we can, which all of us can relish and can please Krishna also in Janmashtami. So we will meet again tomorrow with yet another sweet and wonderful pastime of some exalted devotees and the reciprocation of the Lord. Don't miss and try to come and attend this. And let's all walk together in this journey to Janmashtami. Can I request all of you to come in front of your camera and raise your hands? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Ram Rama Hare Hare
राम राम हरे हरे
Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki
जय
Sanatan Goswami Pad ki
जय
By God Premanande So I see now.
ಆತರ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಡು ರಾಮ ಕವಿಗಳು ಏನೋ